Now, we've all probably heard about languishing. It is in kind of the theme of 2020 and into 2021, right? We've been stuck in this place for a year and a half. And some of us are like around the world are starting to move out of lockdowns and restrictions. Some of us started to move out and are coming back in. I'm in Ontario and I'm double vaccinated at this point, but we're still in a form of lockdown. There's a lot of restrictions still in place here. And this feeling of languishing is like feeling stagnated. We're not able to move forward. We're just kind of stuck. And I say it's like that feeling of just meh, right? Like how you feel, meh, right? So we're not necessarily depressed, but we're definitely not flourishing in this state. And I know that that's how I felt a lot of the way through this past year and a half. And I know I'm not the only one. And it's been, for me and for a lot of us, it's because of that being stuck. We're in the gray, right? Everything's just kind of fine. Nothing's great. Nothing's too terrible for most of us, right? Unless something else has been going on. But it's just like, all right, everything's same old, same old. At the start, people were like, yay, home alone. I'm going to bake all the things. I'm going to do all the puzzles, right? We were excited, but not really excited, but we were like, great stuff. Like, no one thought it was great, but we were ready to embrace it, to try new things, to, adapt. And then it just kept going and going and going and going. And then our mood just kind of went down and we started to feel like we were stuck and we started to feel languishing, right? And we can learn how to move past it by recognizing those moments, because even after all of this stuff with COVID is done, we will all face moments where we fall back into this feeling of languishing because of life, right? I've talked a number of times about the two arrows, right? The first arrow is the inevitable pains of life. We're all going to experience something. Like, I've had a lot of health things, and so that's a lot of the stuff with that is pretty inevitable for me. But we all have work stress, life stress. Someone gets sick, we get sick. Things are great, things are not great, right? There's always going to be something that comes up. And so that's the first arrow. And the second arrow is our thoughts and our resistance to it. Like, I don't wanna, this isn't fair. And the judgments around it, right? So we're stuck in resistance, we're stuck in judging about what's going on. And so we're taking what's here and we're making ourselves feel worse by having that second arrow. And as I said, there's always going to be something, and we can fall back into this feeling of languishing again, not necessarily for as long as it's been with lockdown, but it might show up again. And so how do we get out of it? One of the ways to help when in these moments is to remember and to remind yourself that as human beings, we're pretty resilient. We can get through a lot. I've gone through things that I never thought I would be able to move through. And I did so with grace. Like, if I thought about how to navigate through what I've been through, probably wouldn't have done it as well as I did. But because human beings are so resilient, we're able to adapt and to kind of come back through stuff, especially when we put strategies in place to help and support ourselves, such as having a mindfulness meditation practice. And so one of the ways is through the mindfulness, by recognizing like, okay, this is hard. This sucks. This isn't easy. And even just that right there, I'm like, this moment's really tough. This has been hard for me. That acknowledgement that things are hard is a way of being so kind and compassionate to yourself, right? Because you're not saying like, oh, no, it's okay. We're not stiff upper lipping it. We're not keep going through it. We're like, this is tough. This isn't easy. I'm having a hard time. So much compassion in that moment. When we acknowledge and name our emotions, then we're able to work with them, because when we know what's here, we can work with what's here. And I show you how to do that in the mindfulness journey. And in particular, and I'll link to it below this video, my program, Stop the Panic. It really helps with navigating these difficult moments and challenging situations, because it helps you to recognize what's going on and how it feels in your body and your emotions and what to do with it. And it's all inside that program. As I said, we'll link to it below. But another way of getting out of languishing is finding what they call flow, right? So it's that zone, like getting into the zone where you're involved in an activity and you're not, caught up in worries and fears. For me, that happens teaching mindfulness. Like I'm sitting here right now recording this video, and literally all I had was, hey, we're going to talk, like the name of what this video is going to be. That is it. I don't have a script. I don't have a plan, because I just live this stuff and I talk about it so much that I'm just like, oh yeah, I'm going to talk about this. And then I just talk. I'm very in the flow. Scrapbooking is another thing for me. I'm focused on the activity and I'm not like worrying or thinking about anything else. Same with reading. I can pick up a book and be lost in it for hours. I am that meme. Maybe it's not a meme. It's a little cartoon of, just one more chapter. And the next thing you know, it's like morning and the book is done. That is me. I can do that a lot. I've become more mindful and aware to be like, time to close the book and go to sleep. But I can get lost in a book for a couple of hours. And I do this to help me when I'm feeling kind of down, right? Shift out of it by picking up a book, a nice, light, romantic comedy book. One of my favorites is The Royal We. It's so adorable. I can get lost in that for a few hours and I come out feeling, feeling a little cheery, and, I've enjoyed my time reading this book. Getting into the flow. I'm sure you have something that you enjoy. A lot of people like to garden. Maybe that's something that you can get lost in. Going for a walk. You can put on a podcast and go for a walk like that, or just take a mindful walk where you're just paying attention to the walking, to feeling what it's like to walk, to being in the moment, right? These are all ways to move out of the state by finding a state of flow. So finding something that you can do, finding an activity that you enjoy that helps you shift out of this state and to find, enjoyment, some contentment. Maybe it's a movie. Doesn't matter what the activity it is, just something that you can do mindfully, right? So you're just in the moment, you're in that activity. It's not going to stress you out. Cooking is a lot more exasperating for me than baking. I can get lost in baking because I don't know why. Both of them involve following a recipe, but there's something different to baking for me, right? As I said, maybe it's gardening for you. Gardening, probably not for me. I tend to kill things accidentally. As I said, we all have something. We all know what that activity is. I shared a few that I enjoy. And so I'd love it if you could comment below this video and let me know what are some activities that you like to do that help you feel in the flow, right? Where you're lost in the activity, but not lost, like you're just so into what you're doing that everything else around you kind of is put on pause. So please share below this video what some of those activities are for you. And as I said, I mentioned my program, Stop the Panic, and I will link to that below. Until next time, take care, guys. Bye.